So now let's welcome to Michelle on the stage. Come on, let's do some
Yay!
music. Woohoo! Trust me, nobody can come to the stage without the music. Let's put it.
There we go.
Oh my God. So here is Michelle Williams. She is the CEO of Wishing Well Works, right? And she is an awesome entrepreneur. She's an awesome leader. She has been studying from nothing, but I don't want to talk to you about her right now. I want her to introduce yourself. So come on, Michelle, let's talk about you.
Okay. Well, so like you said, I am the CEO and founder of Wishing Well Works, which is a corporate wellness business here in Tampa Bay, but we do services all over the country. I started it in probably about 2005, part-time while I was working a full-time job, raising my kids, and went full-time about 5 years ago. And our specialty is health education, along with interactive services that we can, help people with their preventative health and just feel good about themselves overall. So,
Oh my God, this is awesome. You guys heard this? And most of the people feel like, oh my God, what I'm going to be doing for my new year 2023? What is my plan for 2023? What I'm going to be doing? So there's so many questions that you probably have right now. But first thing, Michelle, I want to ask you how this idea started. How do you is feel like so inspired to give this incredible gift that you have to the community and for the whole world?
well, I mean, I think that I've always been passionate about fitness. That's kind of where it started. I have memories of doing Jane Fonda in my leotard when I'm 8 years old. And as I got a little older, I enjoyed working out. I was a gymnast, and sort of exercise was one of my things. And then as I got a little bit, I went into college doing child development because that's what I loved, kids, and thought I wanted to open a daycare and all of that, and did that for a little while, and then realized that I just was needing to do something different. So I got into my master's program doing human behavior, and I found the discovery of understanding how people's thoughts and behaviors and environments and upbringings and genetics and all of these things dictated or sort of led them down the pathways that they went down. And then thought, gosh, that would be really cool to apply to health, because everything we do is about what our thoughts are, and our behaviors and everything, and sort of what we've learned over our lifetimes. And so I worked for a long time in the gym industry. I became an executive in a gym company in the Northeast. And then one of the members there, actually, an older woman, her name is Evelyn, she came to me and said, "You look like somebody who's really trying to do something else with your life." And I said, "Yes, actually, I have this idea to teach people about health and health education. And, I think it would be best to do it in companies." And that's sort of a growing thing in Boston that had started to be a thing, back in the 90s. So in 2004 or five, it was still relatively new.
Mhm.
And so she helped me get started. And I worked part-time in a hospital, and then started what was then called Growing Fit. Now it's changed its name, but and then just slowly built the programs, and over 20 years, here we are. So,
I can believe it. Since 2005?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh
That's when I
my
wrote my
God.
first program, and it's really funny because I came across it was pre-PowerPoint. I mean, this is how far back we're going. So I have literally a pad of paper that I was flipping to teach the class. So, long time ago, and very different than today, but good.
Yeah, so now I'm curious. So when you started first, you were a leader before, but then before that, you feel like, okay, so this is how I manage myself, how I do things as a leader. So when you become a leader in your own organization, what was the number one challenge that you have?
Well, I mean, I would say that the challenges have changed over the course of the process, as probably it does for most people. When I was first starting out, it was, not being able to just do my business, right? I had all these ideas and all these things I wanted to do, but I had to pay the bills and all of that. And then a little bit further into it, it was more about balance, right? It was, I had small kids and I was working full time and doing my business. So I can remember, when my daughter was born and my son was 3, I worked full time, had these 2 small children, and was doing my business at night. So it was just exhausting. And then I could say that now one of my biggest challenges, and this is more personal, but I have celiac disease. And so that is an autoimmune disorder related to the if you eat gluten. And so because that happens to me sometimes, it makes me really tired a lot, and it gives me a lot of brain fog and other types of issues. And so I get really, you know, um, upset when that happens to me because it takes me out for a couple of days. And that can be a real difficulty when you're trying to run a business. So, the challenges kind of come and go, and it's really about just trying to deal with them the best way that you can. And, we're all human. So
Wow, wow. Yeah. So if you guys have anybody who knows anybody who has a celiac disease, you should connect with Michelle. She will be able to get some advice on what to do, right?
yes, I definitely have done my research for sure. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's, it's just one of the things, but we all have these things, and that's one of the I think, best parts about when you do suffer from something and you can share your story and potentially help other people with something that they're struggling with. So
Yeah. So that helps you to actually become more passionate what you do, right?
yes.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So who is your target audience? Who do you actually work with?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that most companies that do or have the budget to spend on wellness, and I would encourage everyone to, not for my own financial benefit, but for other reasons we can talk about in a little bit. But in general, most of our companies will have 100 or more employees, but we've worked with companies as large as, the Hillsborough County government and much, large businesses. So really anybody, but I would say that overall our advice is geared for adults, right? Over 18. Although a child program I think would be really beneficial at some point. Up to 65 or 70, kind of depending on who's working, but that's the general population.
Okay, that's great. So let me ask you something more about your leadership. How do you grow your leadership? What have you done before and now, and what you're planning on 2023 to improve your leadership?
Yeah, well, so I would say that I think it's always beneficial to take courses on skills that don't come naturally, right? So for me, I can do a lot of things that just come because of my own characteristics and my own personality. But there are things, maybe within building a better foundation or having, certain organizational strategies that can be difficult, or multimedia. I have a hard time. I have all this great equipment, and, trying to, or desiring to learn how to use it is not really something that interests me that much, right? And so my son is awesome at video production. And so I'm always saying to him, well, you can film me and I'll do it, but I just don't want to learn how to use the equipment. Right. But so exposing myself to things that maybe, like, again, don't come naturally, that can help me build, the brand that I'm hopeful to continue creating, and just adding new skills, and
Yes, adding your skills. What if you have to give an advice of any book that you have written that have helped you to become a better leader? What will be that book?
oh gosh, well, I always tell people about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I know it's very old, but my personal story with that book is that my parents, when I was in high school, probably 16 or 17, and my parents were not the type that would pay us for our grades or anything like that. But they came to us one day and they said, if you read this book and you give us an hour-long presentation on it, we will pay you $100. And we were like, $100? Oh my gosh, yes. So I, of course, took that very seriously. And I I read the book, did a whole long presentation, and I kid you not, my time management is on point. And I say that knowing that it definitely had something to do with that project, right? So I would say that one. I would also say, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. If you've never read that book, it takes 17 minutes to read, but it really is very important, because I think as leaders and also just people in general, we suffer from chronic stress in this country and the way that our culture operates. And that is, in my opinion, what is probably leading to the most illnesses of anything else we do to ourselves, which there are lots of other things, but chronic stress is bad, right? Overall. So we have to learn how to manage that in an effective way. And even though that book is simple,
Mhm.
it's a good intro to, just reminding yourself that you can change how you think about things, you know? And then I also just read a book the other day about management styles, or I just finished it. And now I'm forgetting the title, so pardon me on that. But in either case, talking about, how we can go from being a manager to a coach. And I value that a lot because coaching is a big part of what we do through our company. And I think, you have to allow people to come to the realization of what they want to do versus telling people what to do, right? There's a little bit of both, but giving people that autonomy is a big part of anyone being successful. So
Yeah,
um
that's an excellent book. I can't believe that you're reading something like that because that's exactly my program that I help the leaders that I work with is to become, they become part of this organization that they manage really good teams, that they are really good leaders, but also the next level of that type of leadership is becoming a leadership coach, where
mhm,
they will be able to identify and read people and what's going on instead of just trying to guess and
yeah,
asking the HR department for help and asking other people for help and any of the ER help, you know what I mean? So
right.
it basically they will be able to just ask one or two or three questions. They break through the person, move them to the we need to go, and they can actually start working and do things magical
Exactly.
ways and be productive. Yeah, that's exactly what I teach. And it's
No.
so important nowadays.
Well, and I think one of the things, again, going back to chronic stress, it makes it difficult to be present, right? And when you're not present, you don't notice things because you're all in here. And so that enabling yourself to have the right people on your team that will allow you to be more present so that you can then understand what your team needs and how your business can function better, generally speaking,
Yes,
So,
excellent. So talking about leadership too as well. So there's, we all have different packages, different ways that we lead. Other people lead by giving, other people lead by serving, other people are dictators. Other people don't even lead.
right.
So they come with different packages. What do you think is will be the top two or three strengths that a leader needs to have and that you actually after those strengths right now?
Yeah. Top three. Well, so I definitely empathy is a huge part of life in general. I think that I have a really good sense of where my team is and how when they're feeling overwhelmed, I can tell in their email or I can tell in their team's chat. You know what I mean? And so we have a lot of open discussions together. There's about three of us that do a lot of the sort of back end work outside of what the gurus are doing. And we meet regularly and say, what's on your plate and how much is too much and are you able to get it done, so that we're there for each other, because I don't really feel like we are individuals in that sense. It's like we are together trying to do something that will benefit us all, right? So empathy is a big part of it. I would also say communication is huge. You can't say everything in an email. Sometimes you have to pick up the phone. Sometimes you have to ask questions and make sure you're understanding things right and make sure your team is understanding what you're saying right. And also not be afraid of saying, I know you worked really hard on this, but this isn't quite what I was thinking about. Let's try to redo it together, and having those sort of hard conversations, but not feeling like, everyone's supposed to be perfect because we all make mistakes, So communication, empathy, and then third, I think organization and having plans. I'm a big, my favorite acronym, we use it in our sessions all the time, is the 7 Ps, which is proper preparation, planning and prioritization prevents poor performance, which I did not make up, but I got it somewhere. But I think that that is important in every aspect. I'm a planner. I mean, there's lists and ideas and plans everywhere. My husband's like, gosh, do you have to have any more pieces of paper laying around with, with what your plan is for the day, but that helps me stay organized, and that's how I make sense of my world. So, so I think those three things are probably of the many things that we dedicate a lot of time to.
Yes, so yeah, that is super critical, especially, you said empathy. Oh my God, that was especially with the pandemic, and there was a lot of layoffs and riff and people who actually resigned to the positions. Empathy become the number one thing, the skill that
Absolutely.
leaders needed to have. And communication, wow, that is so important. Actually, that's one of the things that we touch in my challenge, because they can actually change their skill sets in 5 days, and they don't know that they can do it, and they can do it in my challenge. And the other one that you say organization, that is something that I feel like most leaders, when they step into their management role, they maybe know how to communicate, they maybe know how to do things, but the planning part is so critical,
Right.
especially with talents. Do you believe that's important too?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, so yes, and then Michelle, and let me ask you another incredible question, and it's actually coming from Linda right now. Thank you, Linda, for sending me this question, and she's saying, Candy, can you please ask Michelle, if I have an organization that is going through a lot of challenges, what do you want? How I can start with her to work with her, starting in 2023? What do I need to do?
Yeah. So I mean, of course, we would love to work with her. And, the biggest thing is looking at, what the company is willing to invest, right? Wellness is an investment. So similar, we talk a lot about prevention, and people will say, oh, it costs so much to prevent things and all of this, right? But if you start to look at what a good company culture wellness program can do for your business, as far as saving money on other things, right? I mean, we know that it costs 30% of an employee's salary to replace them. So if they're making 50 grand, that's going to cost you $15,000 just for that one employee. And it's not to say that wellness will prevent people from leaving, but we do know that when people feel valued, when people feel recognized and appreciated, and when the company provides for them the things that they need, they need good healthcare benefits that aren't so expensive that it's costing them, 40% of their paycheck. They need programs that can help them learn about how to better care for themselves on the clock. I mean, they don't have time to do it at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock at night. It's too difficult, and making well-being part of the overall business orientation, right? When we onboard people, let's talk to them about what we expect, but also what we give, and it's a two-way kind of thing. And the research is solid in saying that when employees feel like they can balance their lives well, and that their employers appreciate them, and that they can access health education and financial education and extra learning opportunities, that they stay because they want to be there, right? And when the companies don't do that, people leave because they don't have loyalty to a company that's not helping them make the best life for themselves. Everyone's searching for that best life, and so you either help them find that, or you risk losing them, is kind of the way I think it goes. So it really does take an investment. So there is an upfront, kind of cost there. Now, if you work with us, we're very flexible. So you can do anything from just having us come in and do a program, or we can come in and really look at what's happening within the company culture and making some recommendations based on what we see in an effort to help change things around, or help support, provide support to put the best foot forward.
Okay, so when you review the culture of the organization, your review is basically depending on what they need in health and wellness specific, or there is
Yeah,
another things that you advise?
Yeah, I think that you can do all sorts of things. I mean, typically we'll do like an anonymous survey that will ask things like, how happy are you at, at your current position? Do you feel challenged? Do you participate in any wellness services? What types of services would you be interested in? What types of things do you wish you had at your work? Those types of questions. And then, and it's anonymous. So that way it helps people be a little more honest. And then from there, we would make suggestions on things like meeting with the executive level managers, because in many cases, people's lack of well-being has to do with their direct manager. And it's not necessarily the manager's fault or the employee's fault or whatever, but in general, that is an employee's, you know, um, point person for how they feel about their job, right?
Yeah.
And so we would meet with those people and talk about, how they manage and how they communicate and what things maybe they could do differently. And then working with the C-suite and saying, you have to support this financially and you have to be willing to make some of these changes because, we could get a client that has $50,000 to spend on wellness, right? But the company doesn't advertise the programs. The employees never feel like they have time to participate because if they don't get something done, then they, whatever the case may be. And so then not nobody, but you get low participation that way. And then you've spent all that money and you don't see the result you're looking for. So it requires sort of all three layers of people within the organization to make wellness as it is a priority.
Yeah, that is so amazing. Thank you for doing this. Really do. Thank you. I didn't know that was very detailed, especially with not just, hey, come and eat healthy or come and do exercise.
Right.
You actually search the culture, you search and you find out what is the pain points from the leaders, what they can change, and then they can actually improve on the well-being of the organization. That is magical. That's what leadership is. Yeah, that is super awesome. So I know that you started your business in 2005. Now it's 2022. Oh my God, almost 23.
I know.
So yeah, I'm sure that you have gone through a lot of challenges and, like a roller coaster, like ups and downs. So what are the things that you do when you're going to those challenges that you feel like quitting, that you feel like nothing is working? Because we go through all those, that's part of the journey. That's the
Sure.
business circle. So what exactly do you do to actually put yourself back up and lift your spirit as a leader?
Well, I find it important to process how I'm feeling, right? So I'm big on sort of that emotional awareness and understanding that we all have sort of these ups and downs, like you say. And just because in all cases in my past history, even though I was going down, I always did come back up eventually, right? So it's just a matter of sort of holding on. And then once you process and you realize maybe if you made any mistakes or maybe misjudgments or any number of other things, you say, okay, how could I do that differently? And you reprocess and then build up a new plan and kind of get back on the horse. And then generally, for me at least, when that happens, it's probably time for me to take a little bit of self-care and time off in general, right? Because a lot of times when I start having some of those issues, it's because I'm burnt out and I'm not practicing what I preach. So I say, oh, it's time to take a 3-day vacation and just, leave my computer at home and just, take some time for myself. Because, even no matter what you do for a living, we seem to, just as a general culture, value this idea of working until we die sort of thing. And
Mhm.
so, it's a very important aspect for any organization for the leaders and everyone else to take care of themselves, because we all need, that chronic stress and lack of sleep. Those are kind of the two big things that we talk about all the time. We say exercise and nutrition are vital, of course, for many reasons, but if you're chronically stressed and you're causing systemic inflammation and you're disrupting your hormones and doing all these other things, and then you're not sleeping, so you're not fixing all of the things that you do during the day that makes you unwell, and then you wake up and you're sleep deprived and you do all of these other activities that sort of just spin the wheel of unhealth, right? So self-care is a big part, and I practice that I would say pretty well, because I value it a lot. And, and I'd say to my team, it's time for you to take a break. Like if I get an email at 10 o'clock from somebody, I'll say, what are you doing emailing me at 10 o'clock? Go to, go be with your family or whatever, because that's an important piece. We have to feel like there's a switch off time, and I think a lot of people don't have that. So
Yes, now I know this is off a script. Trust me, this is not about leadership, but trust me, you need to hear this. And I'm sure Michelle is going to answer this question very well. So, what is your schedule? What it will be the schedule for an effective leader to have, especially in a well being for them? What it will be the perfect schedule?
Oh, well, there's no such thing as the word perfect, Candy. Come on. But so I think for everybody it's different, it kind of depends on your life. So I can tell you what the perfect schedule is for me. Again, I have kids, so I have an elementary age and a middle school. So of course, if anyone is in our school district, they know that one is on the bus at 6:50 and the other one's not on the bus till 8:50. So it kind of breaks up my morning in that way.
Mhm.
Hopefully soon my kids will be a little more self-starting. So, but for now, first thing, when my daughter goes to school, I do some of those quick early emails and checking in on what my week's going to look like, especially on Monday morning. And then I get my son all ready, and I get ready so that I can go to the gym, and I do my workout first thing in the morning, because if I don't do it in the morning, I won't do it. I'm not an afternoon person. I usually get tired by that time. And then I come home and I do as much work as I can from 10 to 4 when my kids come home. And then I spend time I try to put my phone in my office, because I'm really hopeful that my children don't grow up with memories of being like, mom was always on her phone, or mom was always, sort of looking at one thing and listening to me. And I want them to see, or hopefully remember, me as being present. And then after they go to bed or they're doing their own thing, I go back on and I do another hour or two of stuff that I need to do. And then the rest of the night's for me. And, whatever I don't get done, I don't get done. But because of my time management, I think I get everything I need to do in that day. So, it's like sort of looking at all of the things you want to do with your life and what's important to you. And again, that's that prioritization part, and saying, is it a priority to skip my time exercising, or my time making a meal, or my time with my kids, and instead doing X, Y, or Z. And everybody's different. So it just kind of depends on what's important for you. And we shouldn't be letting society dictate to us what is important to us. We have to do that self-work and understand what it is from our own place, right?
Yes, exactly. That's super critical.
Mhm.
I ask you this question because most of the leaders that I talk to, they were like, Candy, what is the most important thing that I need to do? I say, whatever works for you.
Right.
Whatever you feel like you're in alignment, whatever you feel that is making you more productive.
Right.
Because we all have a different, it's like some people I know that they wake up in the morning at 10, but they work until 2 a.m. You know what I mean? So they are more active at night. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. I know that the millionaire mindset strategies, they said that you have to wake up at 4, at 5, because there isn't. But I feel like it's all about beliefs that people have, and whatever they believe is going to work with. Anyway,
Exactly.
if you believe this is work for me, it's going to work for you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to hear from you, what exactly looks like, because I'm sure there's so many people, okay, so she's been doing this for 20 years, how she's actually being so successful in what she does, what is schedule she has, what is the mindset she has. And I'm sure I know you very well, Michelle, that you read. That is what I ask you, what books are you reading? Because I know that you are a reader person. So yeah, I love that. So what do you think about what people need to do to grow as a leader?
Uh, well, so I think there is some part of it that it comes naturally, right? I don't think everyone has that same entrepreneurial spirit, right? But if you have that and it is something that you want to, continue to develop, I would say that you have to be time, you have to manage your time and be committed to what you decide, right? And the more sort of scheduled you are, the easier it will be. For instance, I have to schedule, I do everything in my calendar, right? I use my calendar a lot. So I'll put in there LinkedIn post recipe, or like different social media ideas that I have and things to do, because if I don't write it down, it won't get done. And I know that about myself. So knowing yourself is really important, because you will then be able to sort of dedicate time to where it's needed, right? So I know that I'm much more of a motivated person from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I try to do all of my hard hitting, hectic stuff before 2 p.m. and then some lighter things in the later afternoon, because that's just how my circadian rhythm works. So, knowing yourself and then figuring out a way to do the self-care that you need so that you can stay motivated. Because if you lose motivation as a leader, it is really tough, because everything will beat you down. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to have some sense of motivation for what you're doing, and then using that motivation to get through the difficult times, because there will be times where you just are like, oh my gosh, could anything else go wrong? And these things happen. That's part of life. So being able to sort of bounce back from that and stay on the plan. So having a good plan, keeping good time, managing your time, prioritizing well, keeping up your motivation, and practicing self-care. Those are all big parts of it, I think, of being successful in whatever you decide to do.
Wow, this is so much gold here. Guys, Michelle is bringing so much nuggets. Please make sure you make notes. And if you missed it for some reason, just watch the recording, because it will be amazing that you have those little tips that you're going to be implementing in your business and your organization with your team. So there's another, I would say misconception. They said, oh, I don't have a team, so how I can become a leader? How I can be a leader if I don't have a team? So I believe that you started by sole entrepreneur, right? So you have
Yep.
to step into your leadership. So what is the mindset that you actually have to borrow, obtain, or have in that moment to be able to continue your leadership?
Well, I mean, you're always a leader, even if you're a solopreneur, right? Because you're leading your company to become successful. So even if you're not leading other people, you are leading your ideas and your hopes and dreams and so on and so forth. So again, I think this is very similar things. Having a good plan, practicing your self-care, and developing the skills that that don't come naturally. If you have fears or anxieties about what you're trying to do, talking to somebody about them and going through the motions to eliminate them. Because if you really want to be successful, you can't let that stuff be your biggest voice. It can be in the back if it needs to be or whatever, but it can't be in the front.
Yeah.
So you have to believe in yourself and believe in your idea and have that confidence, and get out there and talk to people and make connections. I mean, our community is fabulous. There's a lot of amazing people that have so much to offer and to share and to teach about. So, getting out there is a big part of it, networking and, going to meetings and learning from other people and all of that.
Also, so this is my last question. So if you have to write a book about yourself, what will be the title and the summary of the back of the book?
Oh my goodness. Well, I actually, it's funny that you should say that. The title of the book. Oh, that's a tough one. I could tell you the content, but I don't know if I could tell you the title of it. But I would say that maybe the life she led would be the title, perhaps. I don't know. Was that a good one? And it would kind of talk a little bit about my life as a child and some of the things that were difficult and the challenges that I had, and how I sort of went through them. But it probably took me about 40 something years to kind of look back and say, oh, well, this is the reason that all of those things happened, right? And just kind of giving it that 360 viewpoint of a person's life. kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that you're not just your work, you're not just your family, you are all encompassing person, you know.
Yes, that is, oh my God. So repeat the title again.
The life she led, maybe.
The life she lived.
Right there, yeah, it's led.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so awesome, Michelle. Thank you for accepting my invitation. It's such an honor to having you. I
Thank you
love you
very
from
much.
my heart. Yours is just, you are so an amazing soul being. You're a human being. Is incredible. You're, oh my God, there's so many things that I can say to you.
You're sweet.
It will be like another 2 or 3 hours.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I
But
appreciate the opportunity, and I always like hanging out with you when we see each other in the community, and keep up the good work, and thank you again.
absolutely. It's such an honor to having you here. So Michelle, how people can connect with you?
So best way, we can go through our website, which is wishingwellworks.com, and you can email me at michelle@wishingwellworks.com or info@wishingwellworks.com. We're also on LinkedIn, and we do some Instagram, although because I sell to companies, I don't do that probably as much as I should or could, but I don't like shitting on myself, so I'm not going to do that, but you get the gist.
And also, if you have any follow-up questions, just remember, just comment below and we will be so happy to answer those questions. Make sure that you have here information. You're gonna need her, trust me, you as a company, as an organization. Well-being is so important right now and is something that the leaders need to take it very seriously and not just right now, but forever. It's just something that people are caring more about those things. So thank you, Michelle, for having you here. And right now, I just want to say thank you. Remember, live from your heart because that's where the magic happens.
Hi, my name is Carly. Shout out to Candy.
Shout out to Candy.
And I just want to give a huge shout out to Candy.
Just completed the leadership.
This is a big shout out to Candy.
This challenge in hopes of improving my communication style with my clients, me becoming a better leader and how to better serve those around me. So within 5 days, thanks to her expert guidance, I've had multiple breakthroughs. And, if you're on the fence of, hiring a coach, to help you take you and your business to the next level, or just improve your effectiveness as a leader, I want to encourage you to join Candy and her team. They're phenomenal and you won't regret it.
Before I started the course, I had very little knowledge on what the essence of leadership is. By the end of it, I can now go and reapply those skills I have learned back to the workforce. I would highly recommend Candy. She is an amazing leader and her coaching is outstanding.
Just finished the Thrive as a Leader challenge. It was amazing, guys. Before joining the challenge, I wasn't a very competent leader. I wasn't someone who did know all the things and how to deal with the team and how to manage a team. As I finished the challenge, I felt so confident as a leader, and my abilities as a leader has increased, and I learned so much out of this course. So would I recommend the challenge? Hell yes.
Finished her Thrive as a Leader challenge, and before I was not sure when I lead my team what I can improve. I was sure that I can improve something, but I had really no idea what to improve and how. And now after the challenge, have so much more clarity about what I can do, but not only what I can do, not only how I can do it. She shared so powerful frameworks. It was absolutely awesome, and I feel way more confident in leading my team, and I know I will get better results, which is super awesome. So would I recommend? 100%.
Just finished the Thrive as a Leader challenge, and before the challenge I was a bit hesitant and a bit jaded but my leadership style and how I could help more people and making a bigger impact out there, and the challenge for me that now that I've finished it, I feel a lot more confident and more more excited for the future in terms of the people I want to help, the people I want to serve, and the type of leader I want to be as well. Okay, so for anyone out there, they're looking to upgrade their leadership skills, learn a bit more about the communication skills and how they can make a difference to the people they lead and the people they serve. Definitely come and check it out and see if they can, give some tips, hints, and ideas for what you're looking to do. So
I want to thank her for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you.
so thank you very much to Candy for all the help and support.
Candy's able to guide your leadership growth by asking you some very tough questions that'll put you on the path to having even greater overall vision for your business. It's not always easy to think outside the box, especially by yourself, because we all have these blind spots, and that's why you'll be thrilled to have a coach like Candy.
And I really recommend her. If you're looking something beyond that, it's not normal, and you want to get deeper in how to know yourself as a CEO, as a person, and all your surroundings, I really recommend her. She have a special gift for that.
Taking this course has definitely given me more confidence as far as with communication and allowed me to feel more empowered to grow. I definitely would recommend this. It was very informative and it was very enjoyable, and you gotta love Candy. Thank you.